Welcome, everybody. My name is Kurt Roskoff, and I'm coming at you with a powerful episode of your World of Ability podcast, live streaming, disability advocacy happening in real time. What we do is we take folks who have a specialty and they do what they do. And then within our time visiting, our co host team starts to show you how you can take a look at your life in a whole new way. This is all founded in a journey that my wife Sue here, that is in our admin leadership of the World of Ability Podcast Network, we are putting a whole enterprise together based on lifestyle development from the perspective of people with disabilities. This is a ginormous undertaking, and you are a part of it. What we're looking at is 2 billion people around the world are who I endorse as the masters of ability. 10 years ago, my wife Sue and we went out in an adventure around Wisconsin with the Wisconsin Water Ski Federation that is sanctioned by USA Water Ski and Wake Sports out of Winter Haven, Florida. And they help us engage with the International Water Ski and Wakeboard Federation with international activities, including international competitions in show skiing. My wife Sue and I come from show skiing, and that's what got this thing rocketing in this direction. We are coming at you with a message that is me sharing what the disability community taught me. We're talking about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the deaf community, the blind community, people with physical disabilities, those living in chronic pain, everyone around the world that is really clinging to this mental health realm, which should be all of us. It should be 8 billion of us. And then we have a whole realm of people that have a goal of substance use reduction. And a lot of these things tie together. We here at the World of Ability Podcast Network support the work as Sue and I are ambassadors of Project Die Hard, a veteran service organization, an organization that is responding to the issue of veteran suicide with the idea of one life lost of a veteran is too many. And then when you dive into the numbers, it is just mind boggling what's going on. And it is scary how it keeps growing. And the 8 billion of us are a community of people that not a one of us in 8 billion can say we have the answer on how to get a decline in deaths of our servicemen and women entering the veteran realm and participating in our civilian community. So we got 6 lanes that come through this show throughout a year of our programming. We're talking your faith life, your service life, your lifelong learning, your civic role, what you do for work, and then all of the fun things. You got hobbies, pastime, leisure activities, travel, sports, recreation, theater, books you read, movies you watch, all of this stuff. And we are rebooting the culture to say that there is 3% activity right now in exemplifying the way the world needs to be according to people with disabilities and from the perspective of people with disabilities. So I reported yesterday that we had a fabulous meeting in networking. We have Frank here is going to get us into the networking realm, but we have another example. Yesterday's news was mycity.com. They allowed me to speak for 10 minutes. And they were just like, wow, what you brought to us, Kurt, to make us think differently as professionals, resounding enthusiasm throughout that group. I give them a lot of credit because they were sitting right there able to hear me regurgitate some things that I learned from the disability community, and they caught on to it better than I did. So we're in a good place, folks. This is going to be a fabulous show, and we're going to cover this whole realm of networking, and we've got you covered all the way to your final resting place. We got you covered from beginning to end here, folks. So we're going to bring in my wife, Sue Roskoff. She's going to come in here as co-host of the show. And we're going to bump it up even another notch because, as they say, once in a while, us guys just need to sit back and let the women do it, because then that's when it really gets done right. So, Sue, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Kurt. This is a special day in many ways. So, World of Ability comes to you live every Saturday at 1 o'clock Central. But I'm just going to throw it out there that today's an even extra special day because happy anniversary, Kurt. It is our anniversary today. So, we are bumping it up
Aw.
a whole nother level being here today and celebrating with you guys and with everybody. So hopefully everybody can join in some way, shape, or form. And we all need an excuse to have fun sometimes. Here's your excuse. Go have an extra bit of fun just because of that. So it is 28 years in the making, and we've done a lot in that time, and there's still a lot yet to come. So that's just a little corner of our world.
Aw,
We do have
beautiful.
some, thank you. We do have some wonderful guests that are joining us here today, and I am excited to bring them on in here and to learn more about what is going on. Before we bring them in, I think, Emily, are you going to be doing some introductions for us today?
Yeah, let's get Frank on in here. Let's talk networking. Emily, what else do you have on Frank? Let's get this rocking and rolling.
All right.
Okay. So uh, Frank has his own podcast, has his own or a couple of podcasts, as well as that he's the president of a organization that empowers entrepreneurs, sales representatives, professionals to become successful through networking. I know we've done a lot of networking through the Happy Neighbor Project as well as other places. But Frank has a couple of podcasts as well. He's also an author. So Frank, why don't you come in here and say a little bit more about who you are, what you do, your podcasts, your books, your whatever else you would like to talk about.
Well, you wind me up. What do you want me to talk about? I will go in any direction you want me to go. Sue, Kurt, happy anniversary. That is awesome.
Thank you very much.
Most people would cancel the show. We are off today. Sorry.
No.
I hope, Kurt, I hope you remembered. I hope you just didn't get a reminder from Sue right here, right now. Because
He's awesome about that. I got to give him all the props for that. He is really good about celebrating the big events always. So
Okay.
Yeah, we were promoting all month, Frank. It was an April promotion.
Well, my son was born on my second anniversary.
Oh, how special.
Never missed my anniversary. I've always had birthday cake on my anniversary, but I've never missed my anniversary. So it's kind of cheating, but hey, I'll take it. But what can I tell you? What can I tell you about networking? Networking's everything. I think it's so commonplace, so ubiquitous that we tend to overlook it. But if you stop and think about our worlds, I mean, Kurt, Sue, how'd you guys meet? It was
College.
Okay, college. Where'd you go to college?
The University of Wisconsin-Madison. Come along with me by the bright shining light of the moon. That's not how it goes, but that's the idea.
The realm.
But you didn't pull her name off the bulletin board. It was just, through connections, and you met, and things, my point is that everything we do is really involved in networking. My wife and I, we have 3 kids. You know how we found a babysitter? Networking, right? Just redid our kitchen. You know how we stumbled into the person to do it? Networking. And networking gets this rap of being really just about getting out and making sales. And that's certainly part of it, but there's so much more to it. I had somebody on my podcast here talking about veteran suicide, and he was talking about suicides as well. And really the whole focus was suicide is well, I shouldn't say always, because there have been mass suicides, obviously, but for the most part, it's people are alone. And they get despair. And this person who was on my podcast, I'll leave his name out of it, because I haven't asked him if I could use it. But he shared on the podcast that he failed twice at suicide. And he just decided, you know what, there's something wrong. And he got on LinkedIn and just started reaching out to people and just making connections. I can't be alone. That's the problem. It's going to reach out and see who else is out there in business. I've got some sort of, he had some sort of despair around whatever. But he just started connecting with other people and realizing, you know what, I'm not alone. It's networking. So, and networking is as old as time. It's, that's how we humans have survived. You guys are up in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area.
Yep. Milwaukee, and Prosit, you bet. Let's do some polka dancing. Here we go.
We have big cities because of networking, that people come together and they realize that, we're better off in groups than we are alone. And that's how we've survived. And it's, people who, so anyhow.
All right. Well, very good, Frank. A good way to get us started, getting your seat hot, ready to go for this lively conversation we are embarking on. We're going to bring in Sherry Wallace. Now, Sherry is coming to us through Networking Success, great networking practices from
Alignable.
Okay.
He'll be back. I can hear him downstairs. Oh, he's frozen. I am not hearing you yet. So sorry. So yeah, he is frozen right now. He'll be back. So yes, we met Sherry through networking efforts, and I see him. He's moving. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the connection is through Alignable, but what it took was first meeting Bill Scalziti through the Happy Neighborhood Project, and through networking at the Happy Neighborhood Project and seeing Bill many, many times. He's got a business, Romance by Choice. So here we are celebrating an anniversary by choice. So here we are. So, but in any case, Bill thought of me when he learned what Sherry Wallace is doing, and he referred Sherry to me. And then here we are. I am on the mission with Sherry. So Emily, tell us a little bit more. What else do you want to tell the world, Emily Gomer, about Sherry Wallace? What do you know, Emily, about Sherry?
That we are in the funeral reform industry with her organization with Let's Be Trees out on the East Coast, North Carolina. So, sure, why can you say a little more about who you are? Anything about Let's Be Trees?
Thank you, guys. Thank you all, and happy anniversary. I'm glad to be here. We are revolutionizing the funeral industry by removing the profit. I figured out if we just go back to the way that our grandparents did death care, we would save ourselves a lot of time, grief, and tons of money. And what they did was they went around town and they got $1 or 10 from everybody, and they bought a tract of land and they opened a church or community building, and then they had a graveyard. And then they dug their own holes and they built their own boxes, and they had home funerals and they had church funerals. And there's no reason for us to stay where we are when back then was better. And so we're opening our first society, a membership society, like Kurt was saying the other day, like the Kiwanis Club, but ours will be a cemetery society. And in numbers, if you back into this, we're looking at a $5 million goal in North Carolina, a $3 million property. That's only 50,000 people to put up $100 membership. So then you've got yourself your first society, and we're well on our way to a revolution. And it takes one property to start it off, and I think I have 3. So I've been working diligently in 2 in my state, one in Randolph County and one here in Warren County. And then Dade City, Florida has a $15 million 200-acre estate that it is the most beautiful I could find us. So I've called the realtor and said, I've got my eye on it. Let me see what I can do up here. But it's perfect because listen to this, these owners, they don't want to get rid of their $1 million estates, okay? So we're giving them the opportunity to sell it to a cemetery society where they could come back and rent their old bedroom and be on the board of directors and go walk the trails. So we're going to make them immortalized in that town, in that state. The legacy project, really, what more could they give a community? Anyway, that's what I'm here to do, reform the funeral industry with mass crowdfunding.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry, for taking this on and making this your life mission at the moment and allowing us to be a part of it. We definitely support what you're doing. And as we take a look at this human condition, again, we've been talking about books and this live streaming podcasting business and networking. And through networking, Mariana Waikiki, who's got the Acts of Kindness book series and the finger puppets and, you know, with the app games and all of this educational realm going on, linking in with teachers and getting a lot of fundraising going on. She also had long ago introduced us to Leon McLaughlin from the Clean Water Foundation. And here's another great crusade to take a look at how we're being inhumane for so much of our population of billions out there. You know, Leon is taking charge of this crusade to, you know, get water filtration going and everything that the Clean Water Foundation can do to, you know, get that humanitarian effort going to say, hey, we want our fellow human beings to drink decent water. Thank you, Leon, for doing that. Emily Gomer, I want to go to you. What more do you want to share with the world about Leon McLaughlin? We've been partnered with Leon for a few years here at the World Ability Podcast Network. Where is this all going for you, Emily, and help set the stage for Leon to come on?
Well, I mean, Leon has been on our show many, many times. And he's done a lot of great work with the Clean Water Foundation with going to Hawaii and like helping with also like Arizona and different places, helping with like the Hopi and other like Indian reservations with getting water filters and for them, as well as connecting with the like United Nations. And so he's doing like a lot of great work with the whole Clean Water Foundation. So Leon, will you come in here and say a little more about that and any updates, anything you'd like to say?
Yes, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Kurt. We've got some great news. We're actually sending 50 of our custom-made water filters, more of our custom-made water filters to 4 schools for the Blackfeet tribe in Montana. And those will be enough water filters to last them for the next 12 years. So, and it was funny, the gentleman that was on earlier talking about networking, that's basically how we got the donation. It was through networking. So he nailed it dead on the head. And we were able to get some folks together through networking at a jazz show that we were at that said, hey, I want to get involved. And we're able to now bring 50 more water filters to 4 schools. And the tribe was just so happy, the Blackfeet tribe. We're going to do a photo shoot next week. We also got 40 more uranium filters for the Hopi and Navajo in Arizona. And the manufacturers work with us to do this along with the 50 water units. and they're all to be coming in next week. So we're gonna do a huge photo shoot with filters going now to the Blackfeet tribe in Montana and the Hopi and Navajo reservation in Arizona. And it was so funny about your other guest that was on talking about those graveyard plots, because back in the late 80s, early 90s, we had bought some family plots for my family, and now you can't even get the plots, and they've went up tremendously in value. Along with, I had the cemetery calling me asking me did I want to sell it because we bought some extra plots. So she's right on what she's saying. I would like to hear more about that and maybe be a investor in what she was talking about. So yeah, great things happening and meeting some great people on the World of Ability. Mariana and I was talking about putting her puppets into the stores, and we're on the last stretch of that funding. She's also talked to the marketing guy, Joe Wright, about how they're going to market her deal with ebooks. So things are going absolutely fabulous. And if anybody would like to join us, we're www.cleanwaterfoundationwa.org. And it's like the gentleman said, let's network. We're looking for singers. We had a bunch of performers yesterday who actually did fundraisers for us. We did a big photo shoot at a birthday party, and we mixed it in with the Water for Children deal that we were doing. So working together definitely works.
That's for sure. And we're right here in this podcast coming at you again. This is the World of Ability podcast show, live streaming. And stay tuned, because in a couple segments from now, we're going to be bringing this back around again from the perspective of people with disabilities. But we're just kind of looking at this networking dynamic and like a little breakout room feel here. Frank, I want to come back to you, and I want to lean on you for, you've authored, you're an author, you've written at least a book. How many books you got? Is it one or is it more than one?
It's 8.
You have 8 books, so you authored all these books. You got this wealth of knowledge to share, and you're hearing what Sherry's doing and Leon's doing, and you do podcasting too. But let's reflect a little bit on, what Leon's doing with clean water in your life and in the realm of, thinking of 8 billion people on the planet and looking at how, we enjoy the water we have right at our location, and to think about how that's, not something available for some people in other places of the world. What's your reflection on that? What would you say for the Clean Water Foundation? And, how can you?
There's a half a sentence there, half a question.
Notice and respected behaviors and you learn from. Learn from them.
Oh, there, you're back now. I think I've got so many devices going on here. We're struggling a little. Kurt, we didn't hear the last half of your question.
Yeah. So the question is that with what Leon's doing, I want to take a little time to reflect on this work that Leon's doing, because sometimes when people do mission work and they do something simple like bringing, water filtration to communities and locations, I think it can be taken in a little newsy and a little bit about great work, Leon. But to me, when I hear the work like what Leon's doing, I feel these are things that we just gotta get it out to the 8 billion people around the planet, because things like this are, to me, an all hands on deck. Because to me, in a humanitarian sense, Frank, I believe that we should be able to gather as people around the planet, make sure there's not a one person who has to drink, unacceptable water. But that's what's going on all day long, every day, and I like to get into these spaces and find out people that I hang with, like you, Frank. How do you take what you do, which doesn't have too much to do with what Leon's doing, but how do you thread it into what you're doing so that we can all make the Clean Water Foundation that little bit more successful?
Yeah, not pushing back on what you're saying at all. I mean, there are issues around the world in lots of ways. But let's go back to 2020, right? We all know what happened in 2020 with the pandemic and the lockdown, and we are all taking advantage of Zoom. And there have been these technologies around for a long time, and they were used in a very marginal way. I use Zoom only to podcast. I would get my guests on Zoom. It would be one person. Hey, isn't this fun? This is neat. I can talk to somebody a world away and interview them. And then when the lockdown happened, all of a sudden we're starting to discover that, oh my gosh, we can have a little party going on here, right? This is, Kurt, you said it, this is like a little breakout room. You know, we've all been on podcasts, or excuse me, on Zooms where you can't see all the people. You know, you got to start toggling between screens. And so what I'm driving at is that what the lockdown did, as horrible as it was for many people, is it really accelerated making the world a smaller place. You know, I have friends, you know, I have friends over in India, right? And what I've learned about people in India is their lives are really just like our lives. Their kids drive them crazy, right? I mean, they just have their parents, they're fighting with their parents, there's this going on, you know, they've got to try and get along with their, you know, all the things that we deal with, they deal with. But the other thing that this is all done, and this is getting back to Leon and his project and all the projects that are out there, is that it used to be if somebody had a great idea, they had to somehow or another get it to the epicenters of the world to get it disseminated. It had to go to New York, or it had to go to Chicago or Paris or something with London. It had to go to these epicenters to kind of pick up traction. Now it doesn't have to. Now we can circumvent all of that. And so, you know, I'm not saying it's making Leon's job easy, but it's making it easier. There's lots of opportunities out there. The one thing I will throw out there, I'll put it in the chat, is about 10 years ago, I'm a networker. I love to network. I love to connect people. Sherry, I was talking to Sherry before we started all this. I got a connection for her. Actually, I see you guys are already connected on LinkedIn, but I don't know if you know each other. But anyhow, neither here nor there. What I just, you know, I'm really good at connecting for-profit people. I'm like, well, how would this work in a not-for-profit sense? And so January, second Friday in January 2014, 2015, I brought together, invited in any not-for-profit that would like to come in, just to share ideas. And it was in person. It was in Columbus, Ohio, where I'm at. It was just a small handful of us. And I just told them, I said, listen, I know what everyone's biggest challenge is: money. That's the biggest challenge. That's Sherry's biggest challenge. If Sherry had unlimited money, she'd have bought the damn property down in Florida or wherever she was talking about, right? So I told them that's everyone's biggest challenge, and nobody wants to talk about their funders. They don't want to give up those secrets. But let's talk about all the other problems that we have, what you guys have as not-for-profits. And boy, there are lots of problems, right? It's not just money. It's getting the board engaged, you know, this, that, whatever, you know, volunteers, and, you know, it's like herding cats. And so there was a lively discussion that first meeting. And I said, well, what do you guys think? You want to continue to have this call or have this meeting? And so like, yeah. So the second Friday of every month, I would just get a place to meet, and not-for-profits would come in, and people who serve not-for-profits, and small businesses who wanted to get involved in not-for-profits. And we'd get 20, 30, 40 people into a meeting. And then in March of 2020, February 2020, we know what happened. I still remember the March 2020 meeting, and nobody was there. Not nobody, but it was very sparse because people were scared to death what was going on. And then the lockdown hit. But April 2020, we just brought it on Zoom. And so this thing that was happening in Columbus, Ohio has continued. Well, really in an international sense. We'll get people from the UK coming in. We'll get people from Canada coming in, and it's, not-for-profit sharing information and,
They're concerned that I might be declining mentally. Oh, shit.
so I'll get that information. It's called the Charitable Roundtable, but I'll get that in the chat. Certainly Leon and Sherry, if have an interest in things related to not-for-profits, jump on in.
Yeah.
So
All right, very good. Good stuff, Frank. Wow, when I threw that question, I wasn't expecting that response, but it was a perfect response. I wasn't even thinking that direction. What a good addition to this conversation. And we got a little audio there from Mary Ann's direction. I want to check in to see if Mary Ann's ready to make some comments. We want to bring her in. She's been one of our steadfast partners here at the World of Ability Podcast Network. Mary Ann, are you ready to come on in and give us a message of today, or you need more time over there?
Hola, can you hear me?
Oh my gosh, can we hear you? Come on, are you out there
Okay.
playing? What are you doing?
Well, we are still go out and playing. We're going to have a pool party here in San Carlos at our Vista Cowie, our amazing place where we live. We got Captain Carla here with her sister. She's a retired veterans nurse. She's got a sailboat. They're painting the sailboat for the regatta in May in San Carlos here. So we're just living it up. My friend Darlene's here. She was a hairdresser and Phoenix casino dealer. She's doing my hair right now. It's a spa lady day weekend, so go out and play. And I got a new friend, Juanita, from Canada here, and she's got a double master's in education. And I was just telling her about the Acts of Kindness series. So I know I want to introduce myself again. Some of you know me. And I know you have a new guest too. I'm Mary Ann of Waikiki. I'm the author and Apple game developer of the Acts of Kindness series, featuring 200 Folkman as puppets. My books are written for animation movies with a soundtrack by Lucy Lynch and The Perfect Wave. And the focus is for the first book, Underwater Acts of Kindness. It's for ocean cleanup, featuring Noah, the hard-of-hearing whale, who is recruited by a sea turtle called the General of the New Earth Army to tackle the Great Pacific Garbage Patch between Hawaii and California. My peanut gallery audience is laughing about the names here. They love it. And the second book, Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully, featuring Harry, the hard-of-hearing rabbit, Eve, the finger-spelling bumblebee, and Chelsea, the courageous sign language chicken. And Trevor Gibbs from ADA website, the web detective, he evaluates websites to make sure they're ADA compliant. And if you're not compliant, you can receive up to a $75,000 fine. So he has helped me upload 4 videos of the sign language characters to YouTube. So it's the Acts of Kindness series. And you can meet Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab, who teaches the ASL finger spelling 26-letter alphabet. Chelsea, the courageous sign language chicken, Eve, the finger spelling bumblebee, and you can meet Greta Gobble on the golf course, who's teaching the numbers while she's go out and playing on the golf course. So we have so much fun activity. Read the chapters of the books, then learn the finger spelling alphabet, then go play the app games. And I'm really excited to partner with Leanne McLaughlin with Clean Water Foundation, where we are going to be featuring our sequel book for climate change called Cool Acts of Kindness with Waterflow the Whale. In the last 2 weeks, we produced 2 videos with Lucy Lynch's song Love is the Only Way, with Waterflow the Whale and Robo Motivation, who's a robot who wheels around these filters around the world, and especially focusing on Africa at this time, because we have Rich the Ostrich, who has a soundtrack too called Rich and Radiant I Am. So I know Sue's been so kind to always play the songs at the end of the show. And I just wanted to introduce myself. But I have a new neighbor here from Canada who has a double master's in education. Her name is Juanita. So Juanita, take it away and tell us what you have done.
Oh my goodness. How do you get to 80 and go back in 5 minutes and tell somebody what you did all that time? Anyway, the whole path of being adult educator has really started with me understanding and craving my own education in a global sense. So let's see, I started work in early childhood education many decades ago. continued on, got very, very interested in the environmental movement, did Eco Village training at Findhorn in Scotland, which promotes the whole idea that anybody and everybody can work towards cleaning up our planet, living a full and productive life in concert with nature, in cooperation with nature. In my so-called retirement, which I'm frothing at the bit a bit about, would love to get right back there and do some really exciting projects and so on. One of the stars in our organization's crown back when was turning a highly dependent road for adult individuals with developmental disabilities into one where we sat down with them, found out what their passions were, what their skills were, how did they want to express themselves in the world, and developed a full-time, multifaceted program where we engaged the community, put on a week-long presentation of their skills in art, in music, in playlists, and so on. One of the other projects that I've been involved with and have done most recently is out of the environmental piece is that I put on workshops for native bees, what's the buzz? And it really has to do with the fact that we're surrounded by native pollinators, which are incredibly needed for the environment and can increase the production in our backyards, vegetables, and so on and so forth. But again, we're working hand in hand with nature and taking advantage of all of the resources around us. And it sets me on fire, quite honestly, personally, to be involved with people who are being encouraged to be who they are, to put the disability word to one side, and we start talking about what are your loves, what are your passions, what are your abilities. These people have knocked our socks off time and again with their commitment, their incredible resilience and openness and excitement when they rediscover who they are and get past the label of being disabled. I could go on, but the other piece that I have to add that is right here and now, I walked in to spend a few minutes with these ladies, catch up in the day, and I'm blown away by the fact that I'm talking to somebody who has walked the same walk that I have and is enlivening me and setting me on fire all over again. So I'm ready. I don't know, what is it, 3 months after my 80th birthday? I want to make my next decade the star in the crown with the community. And I am so thrilled and excited to meet you. And I'm still just catching my breath that this has all occurred just accidentally, because of course we know there are no accidents, don't we? So thank you. And I'm passing you back to this wonderful lady here who I'm learning about moment by moment.
Hi, Kurt. So can you just share with us, look at my hair, get my hair done by Darlene. And
Nice.
Anyway, can you also too, I got this banana squirt gun at Walmart for the pool party. I'm sure Nick Davis will be very
Yeah.
happy.
Absolutely.
We are gonna Santa's here too. Santa's here. Hi, Santa. We're gonna get the books
Hello.
here. So yes, we are having like a spa lady weekend, and it's so great to relax. I had a massage therapist guy come over here too. We're having a great time. But Kurt, can you tell us about Transform You Media? She's from Canada. Can you tell us about where we're getting our we're grateful for Lawrence Wingate, Happy Neighborhood. Tell us about Transform You Media in Canada, because she's a Canadian, eh?
Hey,
Hi there.
oh my.
It's Juanita. Pleased to meet you.
That's Santa.
Yeah. Thank you, Anita. So Transform You Media comes to us from Marcus Hart, who is a podcasting mogul. Actually, we know him out of Milwaukee. And what he did is he interviewed a Schertel relative of mine, Jory Prajinski, who is the founder of HopeInstill.org, our oasis for people living in chronic pain. And what all of this endeavor from the radio side of things did is it gave me an appetite to say, I think what we're doing here, like with World of Ability, we need to bring it to TV. And this started 5 years ago. I was thinking this way, but I was just all thoughts and dreamy and all talk, no action. But what happened was is on LinkedIn, I found in the people you may know section, I was seeing the word disability, and being in disability services, I just like to pay attention. What's another disability service? So I went to look, boom, the disability channel. Oh, I'm going in that profile and I'm clicking the website, the disabilitychannel.ca, and I'm going to the contact thing and I see a phone number. Well, I'm right on there. I'm dialing up on my phone. Hello. Hey, this is the Disability Channel. How can we help you? And I'm like, oh, my name's Kurt Roskoff. I'm with the World Ability Network. I do radio and I'm doing some stuff in media. I see you're in media. Did I catch you at a good time? Do you want to talk about this? You know, oh, sure. Tell me more about what you're going. You know what? We're actually doing an event called Ability Fest USA. And if you want to partner with us, hey, you're up there, you're a Canadian up there in Toronto, Jay Stoyan. He's the founder of the Disability Channel. And I'm like, what about if we partner up with, we'll make it Global Ability Fest, and you can be a part of our media coverage of the whole thing. And then when the event is over on Halloween, you know, October 31st, on November 1st, I'll pledge to be your ambassador. Jay Stoyan thought that was a good enough idea. He's like, you know what? I'll give you a try. And we had a great 10 months of collaborating with Global Ability Fest. Fantastic job. We had a whole everyone in platform that my SureTel relative just took care of for us. He just delivered it, provided it through Hope Instilled, and a magnificent work product we did together. And then the Disability Channel is television by and with people with disabilities and veterans. Now, on the veterans side, we support Project iHeart, our veteran service organization that takes a concerted effort to respond to the issue of veteran suicide. And we do this by spreading hope to veterans. And we have exciting news. This just keeps getting better, folks. I'm literally tingly right now in the position to communicate this. I mean, this is going from here to Milwaukee, down to Hawaii and Mexico, spanning Canada. You know where else it's going? The North Pole. There's this guy who goes around, ho, 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 you know, and we have this guy that we met in networking, Santa Papa John. We were on a posting party with this guy, and he throws out this thing, are you Santa approved? And, you know, I'm like, I'm not Santa approved. So you know me, I've got to get in there. Hey, Santa Papa John, how do we become Santa approved? Well, you know what? As I'm learning this, we have a friend who is doing podcasting with us, and she does the World of Pets podcast, and she's got a business, Deb's Pets. And you know what she does? She calls me up and she's like, Kurt, I've got an idea. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I'm wondering if we could like do something. You guys are doing these veteran breakfasts. What if we have Santa Papa John involved with your veteran breakfast? I'm like, what a great idea. And I'm like, so we powwow, we get together with Santa Papa John, and, you know, we've got, you know, Debbie is, you know, working with us, and we're talking, and we're like all about ready for the breakfast. And we go to the president of Project iHeart, Brian Gibson, and he's like, you know what, with our mission, we could really get a lot more return on investment if we just do what Santa Papa John does and makes you Santa approved. What about it? Project iHeart was Santa approved. And we brought that to Santa Papa John. He's like, ho, 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 wonderful idea, he says. And you know what? That's what we're doing. We learned what it is to be Santa approved. So, Emily, I want to bring you in here. Now, you know Santa Papa John. Kathy Weaver from the Happy Neighborhood Project connected us with her posting parties. And, you know, we see Santa Papa John with Misty Henkel over in Australia, that she's getting involved in watermelon skiing. Whoa, watermelon skiing. Okay, it's happening, folks. But Emily, back to you. What's the big deal about Santa Papa John? What do you want to tell the world about our friend Santa Papa John?
Well, well, it's Santa people. uh, Santa is here. But yeah, I encourage everybody to get Santa approved, and hopefully everybody is on the nice list. And not the naughty list card. But so I guess I mean, I can say how to get Santa approved, but I'm wondering if Santa would like to say how you get Santa approved. I know Santa does like a lot of videos and that kind of thing up there with all of his elves and the North Pole. But Santa, would you like to say a little bit more about how you get Santa approved?
I would love to, Emily. But first of all, I had a little elf pass me on a message that it's somebody's special day today. And let's see if someone stayed on the naughty list or the nice list. Did someone buy, Miss Sue some roses today? Because I was told it's your 28th wedding anniversary. That is awesome. That is awesome, you guys. Keep the love going and keep the love sharing. You guys are doing an amazing job, and pretty proud of you guys to be married 28 days. It's a serious commitment nowadays because there's so many outside forces to try and weasel their way into a true love marriage, and I'm very proud of you guys. So happy anniversary from Santa and all the elves. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Santa approved. It's the new initiative where would you love to have Santa on your marketing team? Wouldn't that be cool? Because I've been around for 1,753 years, and Santa Claus is the number one. Don't I look awesome? I know, it's the conditioner. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Santa Claus is the number one promoted character in the world. And if you did not know that, you know it now. And I am a Santa that thinks outside the box. And I started working with some of my networking people, and we come up with a saying, first of all, because, the power of networking is all about sharing and caring. And boy, I've really learned the value of that in the last 6, 8, 9 months, and it's incredible. But yes, I mean, through Emily, through Kurt, through Kathy, through many different people I've met, the word is getting out, and I'm very proud to say that Project Die Hard is Santa approved, and it's a very cool little program that I've developed that involves Santa caring about your business, about your ideas, and about sharing your initiative or your business ideas amongst all the people that I know. And Santa knows a lot of people, trust me. And it's been fun developing. It's just starting to sprout some wings. The elves have been working very hard to tweak and twist and turn, and talking to other elves and other people that the elves know. And the elves know even more people than Santa. It's kind of cool, but it's a fun little adventure that is really starting to sprout wings. And I'm very proud that people are starting to like the idea that they want to be Santa approved. So you go to my website, it's santapapajohn.com. Then you find the Are You Approved site, which is under services. You click on that, you answer 5 questions, and then 2 questions are more. 5 questions are yes or no, and 2 questions are a couple sentences long. Now, I had to put some questions in there because, Kurt has some friends that are a little bit riff-raff friends that, I didn't want to quite include because they deal in, not quite Santa-approved activities. But, Sue has some amazing friends that, have all the classifications and clarifications that will meet the specifications of being Santa approved. So there has to been some, liability and some questions to meet the criteria, because, Santa doesn't want, it's like some of Kurt's friends that deal with, alcohol or drugs or guns or watermelon skiing, because that can be very dangerous if you're not wearing the watermelon on your head. in the right place. So, you know, it's all about having fun, but sharing and caring. So there's some simple questions, but there's some credibility to meet the criteria. And I'd love to have a conversation with anybody that wants to be Santa approved, because this is going worldwide. You want to be Sherry? Absolutely. Send me a message and I'd love to hook you up. And I've got people in Australia, I've got people in New Zealand, I've got people in Canada that are signing up. So why not you? Let's get you Santa approved and get you on the team, because once you become Santa approved, you're part of the family, and we can even share and care some more about everybody's business and initiatives. Thanks, Kurt. You guys are awesome. I love you guys.
Well, you just talked about you invited Sherry to reach out to you, but how do our viewing audience, how do we all reach out to you?
Well, it's santapapajohn.com, or I'm on all the social media. I got a pretty decent following on, I guess I'm an influencer on TikTok. I got about 48,000 followers on TikTok. And, you know, the YouTube channel is growing as well. But santapapajohn.com is the easiest way. And you can send me an email at santapapajohn@gmail.com. So yes, reach out, let's have a conversation, and I'd love to get you Santa approved. Because, you know, even while it was more along the lines of Sue met the criteria and we let Kurt slide in the back door a little bit, because, you know, we don't want to build his ego up too high that, you know, he's always perfect, but, you know, he works really hard at keeping that beautiful bride of his happy and cheerful. So he must be doing something right. Right, Sue?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, I slipped a little bit and said, Santa, can I hop on your lap and tell you what I want for Christmas? He's like, oh, well, maybe the knee. And then, you know, we got to rethink this. So, but Sherry, I want to get your reaction. I've been watching you, listening to our friends here at the World of Ability podcast show, and I can just tell you are just amazed. You're like looking one way and another, and it's like the Brady Bunch thing. You're looking at all the squares around you and like, what am I in the middle of? So Sherry, what's on your mind, and how does this fit into what you're doing at Let's Be Trees?
I took so many notes. I want to meet all of you, every single last one of you. I was finding, I'm working on a child ambassador kindness campaign, and I've started putting it out to our community. And I've asked a few stay-at-home moms about having their kids be these child ambassadors to spread kindness in their community. And they could, you know, perform at the school and at church, and, you know, it's performance-based kind of. And the puppets, we heard about puppets earlier. I was like, yeah. And then of course Santa approved. And then the book series that Marianne has, and then the Echo Village, coming back to natural burials, and then Frank with his society building, community building. That's basically what I'm building, is my own society, but it's based around well, the life and death. So it's not just around death, but it's all about kindness, really. So I see just an abundance of wonderful people here. I'm glad to meet every one of you. I hope you're all on Alignable.
There we go. We can help everybody make sure that they're there. Leon, I want to see if you're available for more commentary. We got quite a huddle here. You've always been talking about how wonderful these World of Ability gatherings are. What are you thinking with this involvement of our friends today?
I think it's absolutely fabulous. I mean, you got a, great guest. It's totally international, like you said, from all over, the world. And it's even getting stronger and stronger. It's what they call, just when you thought it was great, it got even greater. This is a hot show that you had that you got going on today, and everybody is doing amazing things. So to bring all these amazing people together, doing all these amazing things through World of Ability, it only is going to grow, and you can see it. It's a really powerful show, and you're bringing on some amazing guests. So I'm super excited to be part of it, and that the word is getting out. You know, it's just like they say, word of mouth. That's some of the best advertising in the world. So that's what you're creating, that word of mouth advertising, which is the best.
There we go. Well said, Leon. Thank you very much. So we're going to keep making the rounds here in this square circle discussion, however you want to work the geometry here. But speaking of a star-studded lineup of our panel today, here is somebody coming on, joining us, Lee Kadauka from Hawaii. So we're going to get our alohas and everything else. But I'm telling you something, once in a while, you can see something in a person where you just know they're on a rapid upward trajectory. Lee Kadauka is one of these individuals in my life that, fortunately, I paid attention a few months back, and I got with Lee and I said, Lee, how about we lock arms and we just do a monstrosity of things together? We take things to a scale, and what are you thinking? And Lee gave me some feedback that Lee has some goals that I think we at the World of Ability Podcast Network, I think we have the squad here right on the screen. And Lee, I want to give you a chance. Speak to a little bit of your inspirations, aspirations, kind of what you're working on right now. What are you going around? We're talking networking, business networking and stuff. What is your offering that you're taking around the world, Lee?
Well, as Kurt said, aloha. So aloha to Mary Ann. She is originally from Hawaii. Hi, Sherry. Hey, Santa Papa. And Frank, I haven't met you yet, but it's nice seeing you here. Aloha, Leon, Emily, Kurt. So I am Lee Kadauka. I enjoy, well, you could call me a business strategy partner. I like to team up with businesses, show them some of the business tools that I've been using and having small successes with. If you have a tool that you'd like me to take a look at, I am very happy to take a look at that. The best part is that some of my tools only cost $10 and some of them are free. So let's connect and let's transform your business journey today. Mahalo. And guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to beg off a little early because I got chores I gotta get done.
There we go. Life reality right here on Reality.
Oh, yes.
The World of Ability. All
But
right.
I'll stay on for a little while and then beg off. Thanks, guys.
You bet. So, Frank, we're going to come over to you because she made a comment that you're a new contact for Lee Kadauka. So, Frank, we want to come back to 8 books you've offered. You do podcasting. So we're growing this podcasting family right here in front of everybody in podcasting. And then you do wonderful networking. And I love your charitable roundtable. Let's start there. Frank, what was going on before you came up with the charitable roundtable? What was going on that you knew you need to do something? And then what was happening that you created the charitable roundtable? Take us back to the before and the creation of it, and then get us into the why this is going on.
Oh, absolutely. Before I do anything, Lee, we just connected on Alignable. FYI, connecting the dots. And Sherry, I sent you a link on Alignable as well. Santa Pot, I'm working in the background here. I'm Sue, Kurt, check the chat. I've got some connections in there for you. I feel like Santa. I feel like Santa. I'm just making little gifts in the chat. Back to the notion of the charitable roundtable. I've always been really involved in the community, and I was really involved with my kids when they were going through school. I was on the athletic board. I was on the pool board. I did all sorts of things. I probably took 150,000 pictures going to sporting events, my kids' sporting events of all the kids, track, soccer, whatever. And I was really, really involved. And as my kids are moving along and they're graduating and going to college, it's a funny thing about kids. They don't want you to go to college with them. They want you just to stop hanging around, right? So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Because I've really enjoyed being involved in the community. And it's something that, with respect to networking, I tell people, if you want to get networked, volunteer. It's the best way to do it. So I'm running out of things to do. And I'm like, okay, I know there's lots of things out there. What do I want to get involved with? And I thought about it and I thought about it. And I'm one of these, I don't know if I'm ADHD or whatever. But I didn't really want to commit to any one thing. And so I thought, rather than committing to one thing, why don't I try and help everything by just starting connecting people? And I see the power of bringing business people together and seeing them exchanging contacts and information and opportunities. What would happen if I did it in the not-for-profit world? And that was really kind of the impetus to say, okay, let me just see where this thing goes. And I mean, I have people who help me now, and it's got, it's got wonderful legs, if you will. And there's always a great program, but, people talking on all sorts of different things that help the not-for-profit world. So there's my story.
All right. And we are sticking to it because we are not going to, look away at all. Charitable Roundtable is right in our wheelhouse. It's right what we're all about too. And you're doing it for us. We don't even have to worry about it. We just go to the Charitable Roundtable. It is a great program, folks. So Sherry and Mary Ann and Santa Papa John, Lee, you should be going there too. Let's get our whole crew at the Charitable Roundtable. Sue, I want to bring this back to you. We have got a marvelous gelling going on here. This is the mantra of the World of Ability podcast, because getting into this space, sometimes I say, I'm an extension of a social worker. I'm the private side of private-public partnerships. I'm all into the NGOs, the nonprofits, the Charitable Roundtable side of things, about the ministries, about the service organization. We mentioned Kiwanis earlier, the educational institutions, and, the businesses. I'm presently, carrying on the message that we heard a couple years ago at the Happy Neighborhood Project, when it was erupting the Happy Co-op. The consultant that came in to say, oh, when you mention profit, everybody knows what that is. When you mention nonprofit, everybody knows what that is. But there's this like almost hidden gem sitting right there for everybody to build through, and it's called a cooperative. So he's like, that's what's happening here at the Happy Neighborhood Project. We are creating the Happy Co-op, and it has been a dynamic vibration within the community and very functional in helping bring forth everything that, the participants at the networking can do. To have us all fashioned as members of a co-op is just absolutely phenomenal. I am just really into working through a cooperative. But Sue, back to you. Let's get this cooperative element here. What's on your mind as, the chief host here at the World of Ability? What do you want to do with this crew? We got quite a screen here. What should we do with? Oh, and now we got 754 area code. I don't know if that's Barbara
That's Barbara.
Oh my gosh, we got Barbara. Woo, it's like an anniversary party. Woo. I think I should get up and do some dancing. We're gonna do the happy dance. Hey, hey.
Got him on his feet.
It's okay, Sue. I understand you don't let him get out very often.
Probably not often enough. I'm not sure here. He gets on screen with everybody all the time, so he's letting his Wisconsin out. I look out, everybody.
Yeah, but those four little gray walls, are affecting his one brain cell, because we don't want to give him two, because he'll get overactive.
Oh, wow.
Well, you're talking about cooperative. You're talking about connecting. I know you're talking earlier about veterans. A lot of what we do actually is surrounded by that concept of community. We've always been about bringing people together from, oh my gosh, since we've been married. We've had this Festivus gathering that we do. It's all about bringing people together for a purpose. And that is, I look around the room here right now, and I am grateful to be able to look around and see the friends, the people that have come into our lives. It's amazing to me when I think about, you look around the world at this point. The thing that when COVID happened, the thing that really made a shift in my mind here and to really make things bigger. I mean, look at the little world here next to me, the heart that we're able to connect across the world and truly make it be that whole small world effect. It truly is that. We have connected with so many wonderful people, and the blessings that that has brought into my realm is amazing. You guys all bring that piece, that unique piece that is you, to the table and are making a difference out there in the world. We're all hitting different pieces. We're talking world of ability here, and what we try to bring forward here is that piece of how do we make this a place for everybody at the table. And I am so excited to be able to share what we do with all of you, and extremely appreciative for all of you and what you're bringing here and sharing with us and beyond. So that value of connecting and bringing everyone together is massive. When I think back to the things that have to do with Project Die Hard and providing hope, and a lot of that in my mind does have to do with connecting with others. If you've got that close connection, if you've got some lifeline, whatever it is you want to call it, there is that piece that being connected makes a difference. So, and Frank, actually, I would love to bring that back to you. This is the first I've gotten to meet you. I've heard your name before. I haven't had a chance to actually connect with you until today. So thank you so much for being here. What does that mean to you, that value in connecting? And I know you've got several books you've written. I actually don't know what they all are yet, except I do see one over your shoulder. I'm assuming that's one of yours. And I just wanted to be able to hear more from you about that piece of connecting.
In the book behind me, 100 Ways to Keep and Acquire Clients, is not my book. It's somebody that was on he was on my podcast. I just haven't taken it down. Great guy. I really enjoyed the interview with him, and I bought a bunch of copies, and it's there. And he sold. People have said, "Oh, I thought that was your book. I bought it." You know what? Let me tell a quick story if I could.
I love stories.
Yeah, well, this is true. There's a famous anthropologist out there. Her name is Margaret Mead, or was Margaret Mead. I don't think she's alive anymore. But she was teaching an anthropology class, and one of the students asked, "What was the first sign of human civilization? What was that moment that you knew humans were different than all the other animals on the planet?" And in gathering herself to answer, people are like, well, is it clay pots? Is it fire? Is it weapons? Is it language? What could it be? And she said, a healed femur. Now, the femur is the bone that connects the knee to the hip, for those who are not aware. And she went on to explain that in the animal world, when an animal breaks its femur, it's a death sentence. It can't move. It can't protect itself. It can't get water. It can't hunt. It can't anything. It just has a slow, painful death. But when we came upon the remains of humans with the healed femur, which takes, without modern medical care, takes 6 to 8 weeks for that to heal, we knew there was something different. We knew that people stayed behind. And so if you stop and think about that moment, or moments in history, ancient history, let's say there are two groups of people, 2 groups of 4. In one group, one of the individuals breaks their femur and the other 3 say, sorry, we're gone. Sorry about your luck. We're out of here. Well, in those times, 3 is much weaker than 4. And so inevitably, 3 would become 2, would become 1, which would become none. Let's say there's the second group of 4. And those 3, for whatever reason, something inside them said, you know what? We're going to stay behind. We don't know why, but we're going to stay behind. We're going to care for you, and we're going to get you back to health. And so 6 to 8 weeks later, they ventured forth, not as 3 people, but as 4 people, which is much stronger. But the other thing that happened, not just being stronger, venturing forth with 4 people, as opposed to 3, is that the other 3 could take comfort in the fact that, you know what, we stayed behind for that person. They're likely to do it for us. He or she's likely to do it for us. And so in the first case, that gene pool died out. Not immediately, but over time, it's just not a formula for propagating the species. Whereas the second gene pool just kind of carried on, if you will. So what I tell people, and I talk about this a lot when I get out and talk, I tell people that I don't care who you are. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care who you love. I don't care your politics. I don't care about any of that. You have that DNA inside of you. We are all hardwired to help others. Money gets in the way. Quotas get in the way. You know, your boss says, hey, we need you to do this. I need that job. I've got a mortgage. So those things get in the way. But at the end of the day, we really want to help each other. And so the whole notion of connecting and doing things for other people, it's just who we are. I mean, if you know, I think most of us are old enough to remember 9/11. And what was happening that day. It was horrific in lots of ways. But there was a tremendous outpouring of support for people. You know, I mean, there were homeless people helping people coming out of the Twin Towers. It was, you know, that's just who we are. And it's unfortunate that tragedy has to bring that forth. And certainly with the pandemic, same sorts of things, you know, but those things that's in us. So, you know, when you talk about connecting, you know, I just really think about that's just, we can't help ourselves. And it's a wonderful thing. So.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, speaking of wonderful things, we have Barbara Weinstein here. I want to check in. Barbara, are you able to unmute and give us your color commentary of the day? Are we going to do some chanting, some laughter yoga? What are we going to do, Barbara?
Oh yeah, chanting would be wonderful. I'm trying to get a picture up here. I'm trying to get a background in my face. I don't know if it's happening yet. Because this morning I did get to be in the ocean before the sun came up. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, good. Yeah. And I highly recommend that. That's something that if you're anywhere near an ocean, or maybe, you know, even a big lake water, but being in the water and seeing the sunrise is just such a enlightening thing to do. They say water holds intelligence, right? You know, the studies where it holds emotion, where they would have a cup of water and be talking hate to it, and another cup of water talking love, and then looking at the crystallization of the water under microscopes, and where love was being projected, you'd have beautiful crystallization. And where hate was being projected, you'd have chaotic crystallization. It wasn't symmetrical. It wasn't beautiful. And so there's something that does happen when you put yourself in the water, right? And then you instantly, it's like, we do this with laughter yoga, and we
Uh-oh.
do it with
I think we lost your sound for a moment there, but I think we got you back. Go ahead. Ooh, maybe not. Barbara, can you hear us?
All right, well, why don't we do this? Santa Papa John, you're a little newer to our cluster of World Ability podcasts, and you know, I think we've got a good experience for you to kind of see what this show is attracting and how the Happy Neighborhood Project makes it all possible that we have the reaches to have a Saturday gathering like this. You know, Santa, in your journeys and your work and what you're doing in networking and going to posting parties and working your social media, you know, how do you see the World of Ability helping the work you want to be doing every day?
Well, the simple reality of that, Kurt, is unfortunately the disability world, the people that have disabilities or underachievers or whatever the case may be, sometimes they get pushed to the side. And in our society, unfortunately, some of us have two brain cells instead of a whole head, and they forget about these people are human beings. They have feelings, they have aspirations, they want to achieve things. Just because they might have a disability doesn't mean they're any less of a human being. And that's one thing that humans sometimes forget to believe. And we've all seen the videos, we've all seen the stories where they're making the videos of someone comes in and they want a job, but they're not dressed clean. They might have been down on their luck, or they've got a scar on their face, or their hair hasn't been brushed to meticulous perfection. But they have a heart and they want to try. And a lot of people down in their luck don't want to always be there because it's their choice. Nobody dreams of being, hey, I'm going to be a gutter person because that's my goal in life. Unfortunately, circumstances control our destiny, which is not necessarily the best thing, but there's ways to overcome it by helping, reaching out a hand and saying, you're no different than I am. You're no different than Kurt. You're no different than Frank. We all have a heart. We all want to help. And if we all reach down deep within ourselves, we can help everybody in this world. Like Frank, that was such a great analogy about, breaking the leg, because society has been trained to forget the disabled, forget the hurt. Let's move on. Let's see how we can change our own lives and move forward and forget about the other people. But there's no I in teamwork if you figure that out. And at teamwork, I'm going to take Kurt's Project Die Hard. Teamwork makes dream work easily. And if we all communicate, we all help one another, we're going to make it a much better place, a much better world, a much better society that we can all live and care and share about. The me first attitude has got to be kicked to the curb. And we need to love and learn and care as a family, as a community, because you'll even see, even at the littlest communities, even up in way up north in Canada, they've got nothing but ice and snow forever, and they work as a team to go get food and water so that they can share as a community, so that they can support and grow. They don't say one person, you go and you're going to support the whole team. It doesn't work that way. They go out as a team. And the tribes in Africa, I've seen movies and we've all heard the stories. They go out as a team, and we have to learn that as a society. And unfortunately, the American people have the generation thought that it's all about me when it should be all about we.
Right.
There you go. So Marianne, what's on your mind? I can see you bubbling over here.
Well, I'm Marianne of Waikiki. So I'm so grateful I just got my hair done. Lifts me up. And Juanita, she's my new neighbor here from Canada. And she's just loving the world of ability and disability. So I'm so grateful that she got to join us. And Santa, I want to put this out to Santa. Santa,
absolutely.
We got several months before Christmas is coming. I got the opportunity to live in Hawaii and interpret sign language for a beautiful deaf man who became a veterinary assistant in San Diego. I just want to share with you, Santa, children's books 3% of children's books have characters with a disability, which we want to say ability. We want to change to ability. That I can do attitude. I'm rich and radiant. Love is the only way. And we want to get these Acts of Kindness series books and coloring books out to the community. And with, like I said, a low population of 3% of children's books either have characters with a disability or ethnic background, culture and all that stuff. Pop-up books takes bundles of books and promotes them. So I want to share that with you, as well as Donors Choose. Now, all classroom teachers in the United States of America can request copies of my books from an organization called Donors Choose. I had a special education teacher in Kamaile Charter School in Hawaii. Request 50 books of my first book, Underwater Acts of Kindness for Ocean Cleanup. And she got funded in 2 weeks. Okay.
Wow.
And the kids read the books for like the month because it's about 12 chapters for Ocean Cleanup, and featuring Noah, the hard of hearing whale, Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab, and the general of the New Earth Army. And I got to go out and visit. The principal came, the special educator. They were like, we were the talk of the town. We were the sophisticated hula. Right. And so the kids loved it. And again, they could talk story, take it home, look on the ground, find 10 pieces of plastic by the bus stop, by McDonald's, by the beach, and bring it home to your Hana, share these amazing messages. So we need your help and support to get them out, especially with Christmas Santa and Mele Kalikimaka is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day.
Absolutely.
So we have the books, and I'm really excited. I've met with Leon McLaughlin and Joe Wright, a sales and marketing director from Kraft and Kellogg's Foods, and Alex Hitt from The Great Discovery to help me translate the books into 100 different languages on the ebook platform at this time. And we are looking into doing that. So for the audio part, where persons with abilities will be able to hear it, and parents, and hear the messages, hear the soundtrack by Lucy Lynch in the Perfect Way, where Nick's guitar or acoustic guitar sounds like whales and dolphins, and Michael Tenenbaum, his amazing guitar, and Blake has a bass in it also too, which bass music actually helps with healing bones. It's for a frequency level. And so we put a lot of work into these books, and I'm really excited to create the sequel book for Climate Change, Cool Acts of Kindness, featuring Waterflow the whale and Robo Motivation and Rich the ostrich. And we made some videos with Leon. And Leon actually had The Great Discovery. Alex took his Global Giving Facebook page, where he was speaking in English, and translated it within an hour into Spanish. And it blows me away. It is amazing. And, you know, knowing signing and lip reading, they're right on the spot with this so far. And so I just want to share all the great opportunities with networking with everybody in the last couple of weeks, what we're doing and changing the world and the impact. And Santa, we got, I don't know how many months till Christmas. So let's get these books and coloring books out there to the children and families worldwide. It's because the books are for all ages of the heart. It's not specific. But we take a global topic such as ocean cleanup, anti-bullying, and we're working on the climate change book. And again, all classroom teachers in the United States of America can go on Donors Choose. It just takes 10 minutes, put a teacher ID, request the Acts of Kindness series books. They can request puppets. They can request other products and post it. And last year in Hawaii, Subaru Hawaii gave $25,000 to Donors Choose Hawaii teachers requesting anything. We just need to get the word out. How easy is that? Everybody's giving. We're go-givers, and we're networking. So I just wanted to share with everybody. Thank you so much for today, and Juanita here, and she'll be joining us. And we're going to still go out and play. I got some nice people here, educators, a retired nurse that worked for the Veterans Hospital in the United States in Tucson. She has a sailboat, and she's down here working on it. So I get to be crew, and we're just enjoying, self-love, self-care here at the Vista Tetekawi down here in San Carlos, Mexico. Aloha, adios, amigos, and amiga. I'm Marianne of Mexico, Marianne de Mexico, or Marianne of Waikiki, and aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, Mary Ann. Wow. So, Sherry, I want you to be able to come back in here and share a little bit more about how the world of ability is really energizing you with Let's Be Trees, and a little bit more of, how the membership program works and how we and all of our reaches can help you, Sherry, accomplish, climbing the rungs of the ladder to make happen what you are pioneering.
I totally cannot believe these introductions today. And while everyone was speaking, I was thinking, I'm a plumber's daughter, so I understand clean water. I also understand the Bible, and salt cleans water. Let's never forget that salt, if we're stuck in a situation, can do miracles. But Santa Claus, how perfect of these combinations of the puppets and the books and then the marketing, and then while the best part of all these little networks that I found today was that the disabled community, if we could lock together and have the disabled community present these burial projects to communities, the give back factor, where so often they're not thought of necessarily as I don't know, probably. I just feel like the combination would be amazing, that the disabled community and Hosanna High Community Burial Project work together to I've been looking for a nonprofit to connect with anyway, right? So the disabled, and we talked about that a long time ago, Kurt, and then I don't know, I just hadn't had a chance to think about it again, but I love this whole thing, and I really have the need for the children's books, and the need for the puppets, and the need for Santa Claus, and the need for marketing. And I can't tell you. Echo Village, I can't wait to talk to her again. I had so much pollen at my house this year, though. I looked up what you can do with buckets of pollen, and you can use it, some of it, I don't know all, but like as a womb, you can rub it on your skin, and it's antibacterial. So you could keep little jars of pollen in the spring. It's the kind of girl I am.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. So we do have Barbara connected again. I want to check in to see how our sound's going on Barbara's phone. Are you ready to continue, Barbara? You got cut off before.
Yeah, I don't know if you can you hear me now?
Yep, coming through good again. You ready to
Oh,
go?
good. Yeah, I can't get my face on here, but yeah, I was talking about, I don't know what you got to hear, but about being in the ocean, um, with the sunrise, coming out and seeing the sunrise, and you've been in the ocean, and just the joy that comes from doing that, how that's such powerful medicine, how instantly it seems like negativity, pain, all those feelings are just washed away, and you're just ready to sing and to hug and to play. And I wonder, how many of you have had that experience beside myself? It just seems so real every time for myself and my friends who do that together.
That sounds amazing. I've never done that. Now you've got something I got to add to my list of things I need to do is to actually be in the water during sunrise. That has not happened to me yet.
Yeah, I mean, we just jump in and just put our whole selves in, and we can come right out, but then we're laughing and hugging and singing, and it's funny how good we feel right away.
Excellent. Good thoughts. So there we go. A little bit of a challenge here to take on from Barbara right here, World of Ability suggestions. So Very good. So, Frank, I want to come back to you real quick if we can. I want you to react a little bit about this idea of being Santa approved. What do you think of this thing that Santa's bringing to us?
Is he paying you to ask this question? No.
Right.
You know what? I mean, there certainly is a spirit to that.
Right.
You know, a spirit to, I mean, Santa's all about giving, and I mean, really, the Christmas spirit is a 365 day a year endeavor. Yeah. Well, I will say this. I am Christian. I'm Catholic. I celebrate Christmas. But my wife and I and my kids, we notoriously do not give gifts. And it's not that we're against them, but it's like, you know, it's all year long. It's like, and we've always told the kids, whatever you want, whatever. And my wife and I are always like, yeah, you know what, let's figure, you know what, we did something in October. We don't need to do anything. And so it's always been this notion that Christmas is, you know, really you know, it's not this, okay, Black Friday just hit, you know, let's get real generous. And we'll put it away with the ornaments right after the new year kind of a thing. It's a 365 day a year thing. 366 this year. It's a leap year. Sorry. So, you know, I like the notion, you know, I think it's, you know, I'm thinking to myself, okay, who needs to be Santa approved? You know, who could really benefit? Yeah, okay, there you go. Sherry does. I mean, who could benefit from that? Who could get into that spirit? So yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great to watch how this goes with you, Santa Papa John, and how it takes on with people all over these business networks. And, you know, so Frank, we're here on a podcast show and you do podcasting. Tell us a little bit more about your show and kind of who you're trying to bring in as guests, the type of guests you're featuring, and what our crew here can help grow what you're trying to do on your podcast.
Yeah, the name of the show is Networking RX Podcast. I just recorded my 722nd episode, so I've been doing it a long time. And I talk about all things related to professional relationships, business networking, and best practices for getting referrals. But I'm very liberal with the term relationships because I look at it that God gave us one brain. He didn't give us a special brain for business. So what works in our personal lives works in our business lives. You know, I run into people all the time and they have wonderful family lives and their business struggle. They can't network. It's like, just, you know, treat business people like you treat your neighbors, like you treat your family, and it works out. You know, so those are the types of things I do. I do interview people as well, and I'll interview people who do a lot in the area of those topics: networking, business relationships, professional relationships. People like Bob Berg is somebody that I've interviewed. And actually Bob's the one who referred me this Richard Wyman, who wrote this book. And then I'll interview people who have really unique stories as to how networking has changed their lives. Interviewed a guy, probably my most interesting story. He told the story about how his grandfather survived the Holocaust through networking. Literally went to the library over in Europe, wherever he was in Europe, and wrote down, went to the yellow pages. We all remember those, right? He went to the yellow pages or went to the phone book for Chicago, Illinois, and wrote down everybody, the names and addresses of everybody who had his last name, and sent them all letters, say, hey, please, I need help. And somebody came through. And there was a longer story to it, but the short version of it, somebody came through and said, go to the embassy, go to the U.S. Embassy, your papers are there. And that brought him to the States, where he met his wife, and the family continued. And so this person that I interviewed, he said, you know, I'm keen on giving to other people. And the reason I'm keen on giving to other people is I can't give back to the person who made my life possible, the person who helped my grandfather is long since dead. All I can do is pay it forward. So I just thought that was really kind of an inspiring story. So that's my podcast.
Good stuff. Thanks for sharing, Frank. You definitely have a group of fans here of your podcast. We're going to keep learning more, and it's right up my alley anyway. I want to hear what your guests have to say. We've got Marianne popping back on. You're unmuted. What's going on, Marianne?
Oh, Juanita wants to say some few words before we win it to end it, or however you do it. So,
Yeah,
Juanita, take it away.
Juanita,
Thank you.
we are yours. Do the show. Come on, what you got? You're on the stage.
I am just so enjoying this whole experience. And I reminded of the saying, there are no accidents. I just came down here for a few minutes to meet this wonderful lady. And here I am being introduced to and enlightened and excited by everything that I'm hearing. And I just want to add something that happened for us in our agency. I took over a nonprofit from an individual who had contracted a serious illness. And so when we were assessing our programming and so on and looking at what worked and didn't work, we looked at the whole concept of the focus on disability as opposed to the focus on ability. And we said to our participants and to their families, we know a lot about the disability that your family member is experiencing, and we will continue to support them in those agencies, in those areas, and that we will ensure that they are getting all of the input that they need around that. But for the future, what we're going to do is explore abilities and look at what people can do and what really works for them. And so we developed, and a wonderful young individual, male, came into our programming, Welsh, who had a lot of experience in working with disabilities. And but as an artist and was in theater. So we set up theater and artist programs. The other thing that we discovered, especially in Calgary, and Santa, you mentioned all the snow we have there, that outdoor pursuits were difficult and challenging sometimes. And so what could we expand on there? So out of that, we created the first non-disability drama presentation to the community in Calgary for 1 week. And in it, the participants themselves worked out their scenarios, what they wanted to share, what they were really good at. They came up with some amazing skits and ideas. We ran for 7 days straight, and the community loved us. The other thing we did was introduce our participants to survival training in our mountains. And again, that was specifically designed for people who had challenges physically and otherwise. But out of what they learned and what they did, not only did it set them on fire, but they came back to our communities and wanted to lead the way with other agencies, teaching and supporting and encouraging those skills that people did have. And I can't even begin to tell you, I'm getting goosebumps remembering the transformation that occurred in our agency when we said, as I commented earlier, we understand, we know a lot about your disability. We will continue to support you in all of those areas. And we want to continue the exploration into those areas of what are your abilities. And again, I can't emphasize enough what exploded in our community around the skills, the talents, the very real artists that we had that we didn't know, the people who had skills that we didn't know that they had. So I just really want to share that. It was a revelation for me. It changed almost everything that I did in my work. And I really would encourage people to explore more, maybe along those lines, or incorporate that into their programs and just see what happens. I know what happened for the people that we worked with was a whole new outlook on life, an amazing increase in their worth and their views of themselves when they were able to, join in the community with the abilities and share the abilities, the very real abilities that they did have. So I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this podcast. I've just been introduced to it and now I'm converted. I will stay online, stay connected, and wish you all the very best for all the wonderful, wonderful works that you're doing. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Like Santa Papa John says, welcome to the family.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a new family member.
You are.
Thank
my
you.
sister, you're in Calgary. My sister lives in Calgary.
Sorry, Dad's sister lives in Calgary.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. And yes, we do have very, very, very cold winters.
So I just want to give another shout out to a happy neighborhood person who I met, Mark Seagull. And he has this product called Opt CBD. Okay. I'm a sailor and I got his product and it's a spray on and it's amazing. It works with relief within 4 minutes, seriously. And I'm sharing it with some other sailors, and Carla's a nurse, her sister's using it, and this stuff really works. So I'm glad I met Mark Seagull in Happy Neighborhood Projects as co-host and host and Happy Neighborhood Projects as well. And we want to thank Lawrence Wingate Studios, Transform You Media, The World of Ability, Emily G behind the scenes, putting all these podcasts together, networking, contacting new people, and anybody can join us. So thank you so much. I'm Marianne of YPP, and back to you, Kurt and Emily
Thanks,
G.
Marianne. Thanks, Marianne. Barbara, I want to give the microphone back to you a little bit. I know you've been working that phone. You wanted to get a picture up, and your picture to me is a picture of joy and glee and playfulness and exhilaration. And I know that is a big manifestation of your soul that we are seeing in this picture. Barbara, you want to talk a little bit more about, this gleeful time that you have by the waterway and how you share it with others and what it all means to you? And I know you've shared it a lot here, World of Ability. Want to speak to it a little bit, Barbara?
Yeah, well, I just learned that in the movie Patch Adams, Robin Williams says to be happy is to be revolutionary. And I hope I'm saying it correctly, but I so get that message that us uniting and doing things that make us happy and with other people. I believe, how it affects our health. And I think that I get to see that when one of us is doing something that brings joy, I believe that the people that we're closest to, whether they're right in our presence or not, are affected by that. And I wonder if anyone else has had that kind of experience or can talk about. I mean, I know there's got to be science behind it because I've seen it like so many times. Like my daughter just came back from Sedona, Arizona, where she was doing a breath workshop with people and came back from that so alive and so excited. And she's decided she doesn't want to drink alcohol anymore and doesn't want to work for corporate, that she wants to create a wellness community, be a wellness entrepreneur. And just with doing these breathing exercises, people came to like being convulsive and hands like curling up and so many things that everyone there got to experience. And it was like facing their worst fears and somehow getting through it and watching the body acting out in that happening. And what I'm trying to talk about is, still the excitement of, we're learning, get children into nature, get them using their hands, planting things and building things, and what studies are showing what that does to the mind, where they're able to tap into that creative potential that shows them to be genius IQ. And I want to get good about communicating what I'm trying to say here and being able to say, the science behind it, what we're learning. But it's a beautiful concept because it seems easier to be kind, to be happy, to love, to give, to unite, to have that feeling of, oh, we're friends and we're doing this together. It's a lot easier than isolating ourselves and being angry, being disappointed, all the feelings that aren't about being happy. That being happy is actually a way to make a difference in the world. Is there anyone here who can agree with that or bring more science?
Yeah, definitely. I feel that I caught on to that, taking a quantum leap with that during COVID time, and for sure meeting people through the Happy Neighborhood Project, and kind of learning the work of Edwin Edinburgh, who now has a book, Happiness is a Learnable Skill, and his whole crusade spreading happiness around the world. So yeah, I mean, the last 4 years have been packed with just amazement of how many people are out there talking a different angle of exactly what you're saying, Barbara. And it's kind of like, I'm 52 years old. So 4 years ago, I was 48. And to think that, 4 decades went by before I started to get deep into all of this type of sharing of sentiments and, getting into this space of, being so empowered and so uplifted, and, that we can just really hang with people, that we're all here to help each other stay on this course of, being in this, joyful place, meeting a guy like Barry Shore, ambassador of joy. And I mean, it's just like, they say truth is stranger than fiction, but it's just amazing. It's like living a dream. So it's about, speaking. Oh, go ahead, Barbara.
Oh, I was with a doctor yesterday who, and this was an ophthalmologist, and they were doing all these tests and studies on me that they did about 3 months ago. And she says, I'm confused. You're getting better. You're better. And, from what she knows, it's not supposed to work that way. But when I tried to talk to her about sun gazing, we're supposedly the first 45 minutes when the sun's coming up, and the last 45 where it's going down, you don't have UV rays and you're not going to hurt your eyes. That there's studies that say, cataracts have been eliminated. And these are things to play with, but it's so funny because they hold on to their negativity. It's like, oh, no, you can't do that. That will hurt you. And I'm trying to say, well, I did do that and it seemed to help. Yeah, it's an exciting time right now. And I'm seeing how the best ideas are being spread around so quickly, as far as learning how to love babies, learning how to help them get from that dinosaur limbic brain in the back of their heads to their prefrontal cortex, where there's intelligence, and we have the ability to teach them and to not let them feel so alone, and to not let them think that their feelings are bad or their actions are bad. They're just trying to get help, trying to be understood. And as we're learning that, we'll see that people with bipolar disorder, a lot of times you'll see they can be in a state where it's like, oh my goodness, they're caught in that toddler, that infant stage. And I believe, we can help each other the exact same way that we're learning to help babies. And as I see that intelligence being communicated and what we're talking about so rapidly, it gives us a lot of hope about humanity in the future and where we've come to the creature that has the ability finally, to evolve ourselves as we're learning. And I was told that's like what the bris was about. God telling people, okay, here's what I've done, and now I'm putting it in your hands and you can evolve yourselves. And it seems like we're doing it. And it's almost scary to talk about because you think someone's gonna go, nah, that's too crazy, that's too impossible. But hey, happiness is a revolution.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna have to pick that up again in our next show. What a great line of thinking to go with, and great feeling that we like to have here at the World of Ability podcast. And so Sue, I want to bring it back to you. We have run out of time here, and time has flown, and so we covered things. We got culminated here to be a womb to the tomb show and birth to death, and we covered everything in between. So so Sue, how do you want to wrap this thing up? It's time to get us on out of here.
I do want to share one quick thing here. I am realizing that we've come a long way from those crazy kids on that picture there. I figure there's never a chance to bring up something like that. So I wanted to at least pull that in and say, wow, how far it's taken us from, oh my gosh, 28 years ago. We had no idea where we were headed, really. We all have an idea in our mind of where life is going to take us, but really we don't know where we're going to end up. We get to go down an amazing path, and we get to do so many cool things in our world. And the fact that we are here, we're getting to share our lives with so many amazing people. I can't thank you all enough. You've given of your time here today. I really hope you're able to come back and join us again. We are here every Saturday at 1:00 Central. And I am grateful for all that you guys have shared here today. This has been amazing. Kurt, I'm going to flip it back to you for final word here today.
I guess I want to rest on, like Sue talked about, kind of coming into knowing you're in the right place at the right time with the right person. And you're just looking forward to, a wild array of possibilities. And to just look at, like Sue talked about 28 years, and to look at the number of people that have come through our lives. We used to be in the golf business, so we used to serve hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on a daily basis. And to just think of all the people that we met and have made what we've been able to do in our lives possible, and then to be on this podcast and to look at what all of you have made possible, and all of you out there that are capturing this through, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and how this is all evolving. We're shown the great discovery, referred to it by Mary Ann, the innovations that are out there. I am just so optimistic and so energized by what is available to us in the immediate future ahead. Like right now, we're celebrating 40 years of the Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club, and I've been able to enjoy, or I'm enjoying this coming season, the 38th season for me. And I think Sue's been about, 28 seasons, been about as long as we've been married. Been a part of the ski club on her side of things. So, and then our daughter doesn't know life without being a part of a ski show, even when she was, kind of in that little, carry seat and everything, and she was always in a huddle, there at the lake, and, people kind of gawking at her, from the ski site. So yeah, we here at the World of Ability, we know that this is going to emerge so many great things because we experienced it in the last decade of our life. The euphoria that comes from inclusion, accessibility, accommodation, universal design, global public inclusive infrastructure, and just plain making yourselves available for people with disabilities. And then us that don't identify with a disability, how we can help people with disabilities better participate in what we've got going on. It's a relationship. You know, Frank said that he uses loosely, you know, the idea of relationship. You know, so I think that's the idea. I tell a story about how one day at our ski practice, I invited somebody to join our club, and the reaction I got was, I thought you had to be somebody. So that's a big part of my work. A big part of my work is I want to make sure if I can have anything to do with it, I don't want any soul out there feeling that way, to have some idea that they're not somebody. To me, if we come to anybody that feels that way, please send them my way. I want to make sure that 8 billion people around the world know that they are somebody. And with the world of people with disabilities, again, I decree and declare I find everybody with disabilities masters of ability, and thank you for what you're doing in my life. I'm Kurt Roska with the Wheel of Ability. We're done and ready for you to come back to our next show.